Welcome to the Kris versus Everybody podcast. This is a podcast where I talk about any and everything every week. Me just being me, unedited and uncensored. I will have hot topics, funny stories, and very serious episodes. And I will have special guests depending on the show as well. This is not your PG podcast. So if you don't like cussing, then this ain't your part of the show because I will be talking a lot of trash, a lot of junk, and I will be using some words that you may or may not agree with. So please, if you do not like cussing, please turn the station. I bring facts and only facts. Okay? I don't bring up any conspiracy theories or some left wing or some right wing exaggeration of the truth. I just bring the fact and I talk about it with my lens of life, my perspective, and all that stuff. So only facts, 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 facts. All right? No opinions based on other things. I will talk about the facts first, and then I will talk about my opinion on that fact. Now, this is a podcast where every week is going to be something new because as you go on in life, things change. So I'm going to talk about how my day has been, how my week has been, some things that stuck out to me this week, and some things to help me de-stress. Okay. Go ahead and click the subscribe button on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Go to my Patreon, Kris versus Everybody, patreon.com/Kris versus Everybody. Become a supporter as low as $5 a month. Your subscription gets you a variety of content as well as the Great Debaters podcast, the Crisscross Corner podcast, the great music appreciation nights that we have on Zoom, and the not safe for work topics as well. Thank you for your support. I hope you guys stay on for as long as you need to. You can unsubscribe when you want to. There's no 1-year deal or anything like that. You can subscribe. You can come off 1 month, come back on. Boom, boom, boom. All right. You can also suggest topics for us to do on those shows as well. Once you become a member, you have the power, all the power to give us topics like, hey, Kris, like these 10 questions I'm going to answer today. Some of these questions were from the Patreon. Some of them were from the Facebook group that I started for my Crisscross Corner page. And I want to talk about these 10 questions just so you can understand who I am and welcome to my life. So, welcome to my life. This is a part of the show where I talk about any and everything about me. This is the time where people around the world ask questions about me. And I picked 10 questions from the Facebook group on Crisscross Corner, which you can watch that show every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. on Facebook and YouTube. And you can listen to every new episode every Wednesday on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. You can listen to the Kris versus Everybody podcast every Friday. All right. Every Friday, there will be a new Kris versus Everybody podcast. So remember that every Friday, new episode, Fridays. All right. All right. Number 1, what is my favorite sport? This will be a very, very sport heavy. This episode in particular will be a very sports heavy podcast because I will be talking about Michigan and Detroit sports today because we are in like a roller coaster right now. So right now, my favorite sports are basketball, and my top 2 sports are basketball and football. My secondary sport to watch is soccer. I don't really like watching soccer that much as well as I like to play it. In order of actually playing the sport, I usually like to play soccer first, then basketball, then baseball, then football. Wasn't really a huge football player. So I wasn't even allowed to play football too. So it was kind of I was kind of deprived of a lot of things when I was a kid, but I'll get into that on later episodes. Number 2, what is my favorite color? As you if you're looking at this on YouTube, you can see that my favorite 2 colors are black and blue. My favorite color ever since I was a kid was blue. As I got older, black became, kind of like an interest for me. So you barely see me wear any other color jeans or pants than black or blue. Don't want to wear tan, don't want to wear gray. even though I mean I can't wear gray sweatpants anymore because I'm taken. But um, yeah, black and blue. My sexual orientation. This was like 40 of the questions that came out of there. What do you like, Kris? Are you gay? Are you bi? Are you I was like, bro, I'm heterosexual male. Because you have to be very like correct nowadays, politically correct nowadays. I'm a heterosexual male. I like women. I'm a boy. I was born with a penis. I like women. All right. That's all you need to know. Number 4, do I have any tattoos? No. I think tattoos are a waste of time. I think they're stupid. Um, why write on yourself when you can just get a painting of the same picture on a wall? That's just how I think. Um, People said, "Oh, yeah, your body's a temple." Like don't, I don't think of it like that. Like our body is a temple, but I mean, I don't feel like writing on my body permanently. I know there's tattoo removals and stuff, but I don't think that tattoos are a very good um, investment of money. Um, what kind of clothes do you like to wear? I like to wear fall clothes when my favorite season is fall, because of the different outfits I can put together. Summer, of course, is like everybody's favorite season because you're not in school. One, um, a lot more people out. It's hot. You get to wear less clothes. Um, all that stuff happens in the summertime. Springtime is like, it's always raining, it's muddy, snow is melting. And then winter is winter. It's like it's cold, it's snowy, you can't go outside, all that stuff. So fall is like a good middle ground for everything. Um, what is my sign? My zodiac sign. I am a Pisces. I was born on February 24th. So that makes me a Pisces. Now you can take that for everything, anything you want. If you believe in all that stuff for the astrology and all that stuff, more power to you. But um, I don't care about that stuff. Apparently, people do because that was the sixth most answered question, sixth most asked question. Number 7, are you educated? Yes, I have a bachelor's degree and a master's degree. Um, I have used both of those very well in my career. I am a urban planner working for city government, so pretty much anything and everything that comes through the city that needs to be built, it has to come through my desk, residential or commercial. So sign ordinances, generators, fences, all that stuff goes through me. People ask me what do I do for a living? I pretty much tell them I manage urban development. That's pretty much what an urban planner does. Um, Very lucrative if you know what you're doing. Um, but other than that, am I educated? I'm very educated. And that's why I like to talk about facts and not exaggerated opinions or conspiracy theories. You'll never hear about that stuff on this show. All right? Facts, facts, facts. Number 8, how many cars have you had? I've had a Pontiac Grand Prix 2008. I think it was gray or like a dark green or a greenish gray Pontiac Grand Prix. And I've had two. Yeah, I've had two Jeep Compasses. 20, I think one was a 2019 or 2020, and then one was a 2021. My current one is 2021, which I'm gonna have to give up in a few weeks, but we'll get to that in another episode. Another question was, can you really drive over to Canada living in Detroit? The question to that is yes. We have 2, soon to be 3 border crossings with the city of Windsor, Canada. Um, the Gordie Howe Bridge will be finished, I believe, in 2024. That is a huge cable stay bridge that's going over the Detroit River. You also have a huge suspension bridge called the Ambassador Bridge, which has been in Detroit since I believe, the late 1920s. And then you have the Detroit Windsor Tunnel, which is, of course, a tunnel that goes from Detroit to Windsor. So you have gonna have 3 ways to get from Detroit, the United States, to Ontario, Canada. Um, a lot of people don't know that, and I was really surprised. Is Detroit safe? Um, I'm from Detroit, so I can tell you this from a personal and if I'm boots on the ground experience that yes, Detroit is safe, but as just Detroit as in any other huge city, there's places where you shouldn't be at night, and there's certain places you shouldn't be in the daytime either. But it's 60% safe, 40% not safe. And we'll get into those not safe, safe areas in later episodes of the Kris versus Everybody podcast. Because I love my city. I love Detroit. Detroit's amazing. Detroit is a very great city. You should come visit. Um, all right, that was the intro. That was my who am I? Welcome to my life. I will get more comfortable talking about my life as the podcast goes on in the months to come. Um, I like to talk about like there's like levels to this thing. So I like to talk about sports, music, and politics. That's like my top three topics to talk about. Then I like to talk about the bottom one, like food, sex, relationships, TV, pop culture, all that stuff, secondary. Okay, just to let you guys know. All right. Before we get into it's a great day to be a Michigan fan, which is a very great day to be a Michigan or Detroit Lions fan right now. I'm going to talk about something that stood out to me this week in politics. Yes, in politics. All right. So I'm going to read it off this piece of paper because I typed it out because I didn't want to misquote anybody. Mike Johnson, the House representative of Louisiana, stated that the January 6th committee, which is the committee responsible for investigating the January 6th, 2021 insurrection of the U.S. Capitol building after the election of Joe Biden to the presidency. He said that the January 6th committee was a partisan exercise. He also said that there were some Republicans on that committee that had other motives against President Trump. He also said it was a very biased report. He said that partisan officials should not be able to present a narrative and expect it to be the ultimate truth. He said they so many times. He said they, meaning the January 6th committee. So, a committee that was put together to investigate a domestic problem brought you the facts, and then you say that, oh, this is a liberal left-wing democratic narrative against the president, against the Republicans, against the GOP. I don't get it. They said they should not be on the committee because they're giving us a narrative, the facts. It was a long document of the facts that were given. That they shouldn't be able to present a narrative and expect it to be the ultimate truth. House Republicans, this is what he said. House Republicans trust the American people to make their own conclusions. They should not be dictated by a narrative and accepted as facts. So you're telling us that based on the facts given to us, that we're supposed to make our own conclusions, the conclusions that we already saw on live on TV from all networks across the board, MSNBC, Fox News, CNN, our local TV stations, that what happened wasn't a retaliation for Biden becoming president. It wasn't a retaliation incited by the former president, who was also indicted on 91 counts of voter fraud, trying to stop an election, in New York, Georgia, all that stuff. Really? Like, really, really? He also said we have to blur people's faces who participated because they don't want them to be retaliated against and charged by the DOJ. Excuse me, Mike Johnson. We saw their faces live on Facebook, live on Instagram, live on CNN, live on Fox News, live on MSNBC, live on ABC, live on ES. They were on ESPN if they could. We saw their faces. So this is the truth of what happened. The truth is, Donald Trump did tell supporters on January 6, 2021, to gather at the U.S. Capitol and try to convince members of Congress to delay the constitutional process that would affirm Biden's presidency. Trump did not say go and tear up the Capitol. I'm going to put that out here right now. He didn't tell people to go over there and mess up everything. Okay? He did not tell people to go into the Capitol building and fuck the place up. What happened was Trump told people to go to the Capitol and convince members of Congress to delay a constitutional process. What we're blaming Trump for is inciting all the stuff that happened. Because if he didn't tell those people to go there, you can't control what those people do once they get there. Once they got there, they fucked the place up. They had security there. They got past security. They went up the stairs. They smeared shit all over the walls. They went to Nancy Pelosi's office. They went to the chambers, flipped chairs, took the American flag down, just utter chaos at the U.S. Capitol building. It's crazy. So Trump incited the January 6, 2021 attack on the Capitol, and there were numerous criminal cases on the people who did take part in the January 6th attack. And most of those people on trial literally said that Trump compelled them to come down to DC and stop the steal rally. The Stop the Steal rally was an actual thing for the Republicans. Actually, I wouldn't say Republicans, for the Trump party, the Trumpsters, who literally went to stop the steal rally. They thought that the Democrats stole the election, that it was illegal, that people were just putting in 500 votes for one person, which is illegal. You can't do that. You just can't do that. Hell, if I could do 3 votes for Biden, I would have. But I can't. I had 1 vote for Biden. I put it in the bubble, put it through the Scantron machine, and it goes in and it's tallied up for me. In every case, every state that they said that they felt that they were cheating, they had concrete evidence that they weren't. But the funny thing is, the hilariously sad and very horrible thing is that people believe that it was stolen. And the people who are, you're literally believing the person who said the election was stolen while he was trying to get stuff to happen in Georgia. He was trying to sway the election in Georgia by doing stuff to the voting process in Georgia. He tried to stop the constitutional process. That's why he's on trial right now. That's why he got arrested. They brought everybody in. They brought Giuliani in. They brought him. He has a mugshot. Donald Trump has a mugshot at Fulton County Prison. Not because of some conspiracy theory, because he tried to steal an election. He tried to steal it, and then told the American people that they tried to steal the election, that Biden tried to steal the election. That's not how it works. I'm gonna give you guys some real numbers. These are the numbers. Joe Biden This is the comparison: Joe Biden to Donald Trump. Joe Biden had 306 electoral votes to Trump's 232 electoral votes. You need 270 to win. So he won the electoral vote. Of course, that's what you need to win. Popular vote, which is every single individual vote in this country that was cast. Almost 155.4 million people voted, which is the highest turnout for any election in the history of America. 81.2 of those 155 million people voted for Biden, and only 74 million voted for Trump, which means that he won the electoral and the popular, which means he is a clear winner. No one stole this election. You just fucking lost. Okay? You didn't see people have pitchforks and smearing shit on the walls at the Capitol when Bush won in 2000. You guys didn't do that stuff when Barack Obama became president. The Democrats didn't do anything like they did on January 6th than what they did for Trump. Sure, we said that it was a sway by Russia, which we have concrete evidence it was. And we'll get into that on another episode. But it's clear that the people have chosen. The people have spoken. The people chose their president. They chose it in 2016, which Donald Trump became president. Those 4 years of hell brought us to 2020, which 81 million people voted for Biden. And now you're going to tell us to stop the steal? Because you're a whiny baby? You're a whiny bitch? Donald Trump? I'm going to say this right now. And go back to Mike Johnson and what he said. He said that the Republicans trust the American people to make their own conclusions. And you say you want transparency. How can you say you want transparency and then say that partisan officials shouldn't be able to sway a narrative that clearly shows what the world saw as an attack on the Capitol building? You can't say that, hey, these are the facts, but don't say that it was Trump. Don't say that it was a Stop the Steal campaign. Okay? It's crazy. What evidence are they trying to hide? Like, we saw this on TV. We saw this live on Facebook and Instagram, Snapchat. Okay? We saw the Snapchat footage. We saw the Instagram footage. We saw the Fox News footage. We definitely saw the MSNBC and CNN footage. Both parties need to tell the truth. And I'm going to leave this down here to say that January 6th happened. Donald Trump should not be president again. Do I think Republican or Democrats are better? No. But I do know when I see someone who doesn't respect the American people, doesn't respect himself, doesn't respect himself, the American people, or the processes or the institutions placed before him to follow. I don't respect him at all. I've been watching these Republican debates, and there are some good candidates for a Republican candidate to go against Joe Biden in 2024. However, Trump is leading the polls for some reason. Is that he's brainwashed people. He's brainwashed people to think that he was robbed. He was the victim in all this. And it's crazy. So before I get into sports and I talk about what I'm passionate about, I'm passionate about not letting this man become president. And I'm going to leave this for the political part of my show by saying the Republican Party needs to get some balls to shut down white supremacy and making America great again. Because it's never been great. Call out Trump because there are some very good and well-qualified candidates. very, very well qualified candidates in the GOP that could change the trajectory of the party. Trump is only bringing us down. And if you vote for him, you're voting for putting the clocks back 60 years. You're voting for um, political vengeance, which is kind of what we went over there in the 1940s to stop. Just putting that out there. And Trump just shouldn't be president. I'm gonna leave it at that. All right. We'll be back in 30 seconds, but while we talk about why now is a great day to be a Detroit/Michigan fan. All right, everybody. Today is a great day to be a Michigan fan. It's a great day to be a Michigan fan because we are now number one in the polls. We will be going against Alabama in the Rose Bowl in the college football playoffs. Now, a lot of people are mad that Florida State isn't in, and there's reasons why they weren't picked to be in the college football playoffs. Now, I do believe that Florida State should have gotten in based on record, because in the playoffs, in the college football playoffs, this is what has been happening for the last 10 years. The committee wants to have games that will draw money. They want the 4 best teams in the NCAA. Out of those teams, out of the top 8 teams, you have Michigan, Washington, Texas, Ohio State, Georgia, Florida State, Alabama, Oregon. Okay. Oregon had 2 losses, so they're automatically out. They're not coming back. Ohio State didn't win the last game against Michigan, so they're out. So it comes down to these 6 teams: Michigan, Washington, Texas, Alabama, Florida State, and Georgia. Now, Washington and Michigan and Florida State were undefeated. Okay. So it comes down to these 3 teams who all beat each other, except for Georgia. So Georgia was number 1 throughout the whole season, except for like that 1 week when they put Ohio State at number 1, which was ridiculous. But Georgia won all their season games, so they were 12-0 going against Alabama, which were 11-1 because they lost to Texas. Because Alabama lost to Texas. Okay, so in the SEC championship on December 2nd, Georgia lost to Alabama. Alabama was beaten by Texas. So Texas beat the SEC champion. So SEC champion automatically gets in based on that stat. But the person who beat the SEC champion should also be in as well. Florida State's schedule was, they also go by schedule. So their schedule was very weak. I'm just going to put that out there. Yeah, they beat LSU, but LSU wasn't the same LSU as before. Southern Miss, Boston College, they barely beat Boston College. They barely beat Clemson. They barely beat Miami. They barely beat Florida, and then they almost die against Louisville. Like, the schedule was weak. Michigan played at Penn State and Ohio State. Those are two big teams. Washington had to go against Oregon. USC with the Heisman winner. They also went against Michigan State, which Michigan State wasn't really that good this year. So they had at least two games. Then you had Alabama, who beat the two-time consecutive world champion of college football. So yeah, I don't think Florida State should be in at all. Would I replace Washington with Georgia? Probably. But the committee knows what they want. Okay. And if Florida State got in, it would probably be another TCU. Maybe they might win the first round. If they do win the first round, they're going to get their ass kicked in the national championship. So they just didn't want another TCU, in my opinion. But Michigan, congratulations, Michigan Wolverines, 3-time Big Ten champion. We're going to the Rose Bowl. Hope we win the first game and make it to a national championship. I hope we win. All right, moving on to professional sports. We have the Detroit Lions, 9-3, first time since the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962. This is a season that I knew was going to happen. A lot of people weren't expecting the Lions to be this good. I was, but we need to talk about the standings right now, because right now we're sitting at number 3, I think, in the playoffs. So we're number 1 in the North, and we're number 3. So the third team faces the 6th. So right now we're going to be facing the Vikings. If the season were to end today, we would be facing the Minnesota Vikings, which is crazy because we have to face them twice at the end of the year anyway, because we haven't faced them yet in the regular season. So we have Chicago this weekend at Chicago. So we're at Chicago. We have Saturday night football against Denver. Then we have at the Vikings on Christmas Eve. And then we have Saturday night football again at the Cowboys. And then we have a home game versus the Vikings. So out of these games, we can win. I can give them 3 wins. 3 wins, 2 losses with our last 5 games, which should put us at number 1 in the North, leaving, I believe, the Vikings or the Packers to be in the playoffs, or both. You never know. So it's a very great day to be a Michigan fan and a great day to be a Detroit fan. I love sports. We're going to talk about sports throughout this podcast, because sports are a huge part of my life. They're part of my friend's life. They will be talked about every show from here on out. And that has been the show for today. Listen to the Kris versus Everybody podcast every Friday. All right. See you next time.